All right, guys. News coming in indicates that Carmelo Anthony is in serious danger and that his life is currently at risk. So much so to the point that he's reportedly been moved to an undisclosed location after his family started receiving death threats. So this is not, it's over the bar now, because this 17-year-old's family is saying that they faced harassment, intimidation, and racially charged threats at their home following the release of Karmelo Anthony on bail, which was reduced from $1 million to $250,000. Now, in case you've missed it, Karmelo Anthony is the high school junior who has been currently charged with the murder in the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf. And it's an ongoing case. We are waiting to see how things will move from where it currently is. But since Karmelo Anthony was released on bond, a lot has happened. A whole lot has happened. I've detailed out several of them on my channel. You can check it out. But as it stands now, the latest development coming in is that he has been moved to an undisclosed location after what his family representatives are calling a surge in the death threats, harassments, and intimidation that is being targeted at them, particularly since his release. Now, I'm sure you are all aware that his family is in a relationship with the Next Generation Action Group or Next Generation Action Network, which is a civil and human rights group. And this group is supporting the Anthony family since the inception of this incident. And this group is being led by Dominique Alexander. And they have confirmed that a court approved the relocation of Karmelo Anthony and his family to ensure his immediate safety. Now, like I was saying, Karmelo Anthony was actually being held on a $1 million bond, but then the judge reduced it to $250,000. And that in itself stirred a lot of issues. And it was paid and Karmelo was released. And since then, the family is reporting that they've been receiving different forms of threats, and it comes in several forms. The family is saying that they are actually sharing this evidence of the threats, which are coming in the forms of images and documentation, and they've been facing them through the weeks after Karmelo Anthony's release, to the point that they realize that the atmosphere is being fueled by organized hate, systemic racism, as well as intentional misinformation meant at tarnishing the image of Karmelo Anthony and swaying public sentiment and emotions against him. This was put out by Dominique Alexander. Now, according to Dominique Alexander and his organization, the Anthony family has faced a wave of harassment in the recent days following after his release, particularly, including also people loitering outside their home, taking photos of them in their home and outside of it, sending disturbing mails to them. And that even in one instance, the family actually received a copy of Austin Metcalf's obituary. Well, let me react to that one. First of all, I don't know how the family receiving Austin Metcalf's obituary constitutes harassment or a threat to their life, for that matter. If not for anything, I think that they having the chance to see Austin Metcalf's obituary should actually help them reflect better on the fact that through all this, a family has actually lost a child and is grieving the child as the child is put to rest. That supersedes anything that they are facing, irrespective of who was at fault and who wasn't at fault, or whether their son, who is still alive, was actually defending himself or actually committing a crime. That is my first reaction to that particular bit about they being sent Austin Metcalf's obituary constituting a form of harassment. I don't know if the obituary was sent as an attachment to a mail, which maybe the mail in itself would have contents of words that seem to harass. I would agree with them on that. But if their reference to Austin Metcalf's obituary as harassment only is premised on the fact that they got to be sent the obituary, then I don't agree with them. I think that would be very insensitive on their part. Really, that is my 2 cents on that particular thing. Now, the Next Generation Action Network also reported repeated drive-bys and false food deliveries and individuals circling the home attempting to provoke fear. Now, these are things that are valid. I don't know if you are familiar with drive-bys, but it begins to make you feel insecure in your home. False food deliveries here, people coming in as if they are coming to deliver food, but it's fake. And you feel like a section of the public has their eyes on you and they are bent on putting some fear or provoking it at least out of you. And when you are in your home and imagine that people are circling your home, it makes it very unsettling. There's a saying that a man's home is his castle. And definitely if the Anthonys are in their home and this is going on, it's very relatable that they would feel some form of fear. So if what he's saying is actually true, then I agree that to an extent it will be very unsettling. Now they went on to talk about the fact that the decision to move Karmelo Anthony was further ignited days after the rally that was held at Frisco's Cookendale Stadium, where participants actually carried signs reading, and I quote, "Protect white Americans and stop black violence on white Americans." Well, personally, I don't see how that would threaten their life. It's quite similar to what was happening with George Floyd, if I dare compare, where they were advocating for Black Lives Matter and then fight against police brutality and all those things. As long as it doesn't get violent or try to incite violence, I don't think it's a threat, unless there is further evidence that that rally and the signage and the placards that people had was actually inciting some form of violence. Now, they also went on to talk further about the fact that at that particular rally, at that event, it was organized by a man called Edward Jake Lang. And Edward Jake Lang, in case you are not aware, is a Florida man who was previously charged and later pardoned for his role in the January 6th Capitol riot. So he seems to have a background where he has ways of putting his point across. So the Frisco police noted that 2 people were arrested at that particular rally and that many who attended the demonstration were not local residents. They went on to talk about the fact also that it is both heartbreaking and infuriating to see the depths of hate and bigotry still alive and well in their society. So, in conclusion, the Next Generation Action Network also said that its internal security team continues to coordinate with local law enforcement to protect the Anthony family as the case moves forward in court. Yeah. Now, my total 2 cents on this is, if there is genuine cause that they were being threatened validly and that there is genuine cause to believe their lives were at risk and they were facing death threats, then it makes complete sense. Actually, I don't think the court would have granted them that if it didn't make sense. But I think that to an extent, some of the things they may have also said at the press conference might have ended up inciting some of these things further. That is not to say I'm condoning to any threats that are being leveled against them, but all I'm saying is some of the things that they said in themselves were a bit incendiary and a bit insensitive. And looking at the racial undertones being peddled within this case, it begins to incite people further against both sides. Both sides here being the family of Karmelo Anthony and also the family of Austin Metcalf. And I think that this case is far from over, because wherever they currently are, Karmelo Anthony's face is plastered all over social media and the internet, same as his family. People will still recognize them, and the news will eventually spread, unless they are moving in a clandestine manner. I don't know how their lives are going to be. I feel for them to an extent, because it's not the best, but as it stands now, that is where it is now. And I'm hoping that this case will come to a conclusion when it gets to court. And I'm struggling to appreciate whether any possible form of conclusion it could come to would actually be satisfactory to both sides, because it looks like that is going to be an uphill battle. Because to me, assessing into the future, I foresee that no matter the outcome of the case in court, one side is not going to be happy. I'm waiting to see which side that will be. Subscribe if you are yet to do so. I'll catch you on the next one.